So, you've come for the legendary Shaggy Mane tea. Well, I am sorry to inform you, but the magical properties of that tea are far too unstable for even some of the most powerful wizards. And I see your capacity for mana is not at a suitable level to be capable of holding the power. I have taken a mere sip of it, and I soon felt the power of the entire universe at my fingertips. Now I have a question for you. What is it that you seek requiring such immense power?
Oh, hey guys, it's me again, Natural Wizard, and welcome back to my channel. Yes, today we have another r/entitled parents video. Now, one of the stories I'm not sure is exactly an entitled parent story, but it's pretty intense, so I figured I would share it with you guys. But anyway, I think it's just about time that we plummeted into the craziness. This first post is titled, "Entitled Mom Wants Free Stuff from Me Because She Got Drunk and Ruined Her Own." Real quick, I used to manage a very small business doing souvenir photography for a crazy old mom and pop couple in Vegas. I was also their main photographer. They, however, resided in Florida and simply sent me supplies when I needed them, and flew in every few months to check in. I should also mention that I'm ridiculously short and looked like a teenager still, despite being in my 20s at the time. The main location I worked out of was a big German beer hall. Being that it was souvenir photos, and it was Friday, I had taken hundreds of pictures that night. Drunk people loved to buy photos of themselves and friends getting paddled by the Jaeger girl. Normal night, the problem came in the next day. And by problem, I mean an incredibly hungover mom and daughter duo. I'd arrived 40 minutes early per usual to set up my little private table where I print out the photos when entitled mom and entitled daughter come stomping up. "I need a new photo." "Excuse me? I'm sorry, but I don't have my equipment set up yet, if you don't mind waiting." "I didn't say I wanted a photo. I said I needed a new photo." "Alright, I still don't think I'm understanding." "I said, give me a new photo. My daughter spilled beer all over hers last night and needs another one." "Oh, I'm really sorry, but the memory cards get formatted every night, so they're empty the next day, since we take so many photos. I can take a new one for you, though." "I don't want a new one. Just reprint the one from last night, and give my baby a few of those keychains for her and her friends since you're being so difficult." "Mom, she can't print it. That idiot deleted it. But I still want some keychains because I want the bottle opener on them." "You hear that? You ruined my daughter's 21st birthday. How could you delete our picture? I'm going to take 4 of these for her friends." She started to reach into my portable box of supplies to grab the keychains, but I knocked the side of it with my knee to swing the top shut. "You just tried to crush my hands." "Oh my god, you just tried to break my mom's hand." "Look, I have expensive equipment in here, and you can't just go reaching in. I photograph hundreds of people a night, and honestly don't even remember taking your picture. I can't hand over things that don't exist anymore, and give you free things because you got drunk and stupid." Disclaimer, I did not work for the beer hall, and the owners didn't speak much English, so they really didn't care how I handled shifty people. "How dare you? You're about to get fired, you know that? Where's your manager?" "I am the manager." "Nice try. You're a child. How did you even get in here? As a beer hall for adults. Now get your effing manager." "Mom, let's just go. This piece of crap already ruined my birthday, and I'm not feeling well." "No, I'm getting this BZ fired. Get your goddamn manager." Like I said, I am the manager. I'm not giving you free things just because you're a clumsy drunk. And just to point it out, I'm older than your daughter who is now throwing up in the effing potted plant over there. I pointed at entitled daughter and entitled mom goes rushing over. "This is your fault. You upset her and now she's sick. Get her some water." "Yeah, okay. She's throwing up because she's hungover. And if you need some water, you can go buy a bottle from the bar. Now go the hell away. I need to set up for tonight." Somehow at that moment the stars aligned or something, because the restaurant owner walked out to see if I was set up, and saw entitled daughter vomiting into his plant. Remember, he speaks little English and has a really thick German accent. "What this? No, no, no. You make me sick. Out, out, out." Pointing at me. "But this bit, no, no, out. You leave her alone." And he pretty much shoved them all the way to the front door, yelling at them in German. He came back to make sure I was alright and then just shook his head saying, "Oh my goodness, my plant," before walking off mumbling more German. Jeez, if that's what those ladies are like hungover, I do not want to know what they're like when they're actually drunk. "Hey Clarissa, could you hand me my phone?" But it's right in front of you."
Like I care. It's my birthday, so you should just hand it to me already. Yeah, Clarissa, it's my daughter's 21st birthday, so everyone should succumb to her every whim.
I remember my 21st birthday. Well, kinda. I remember a lot of drinks and then eventually throwing up all over myself. Oh yeah, I remember another thing. There was this vending machine with random knickknacks in it, and I ended up getting a little plastic baby arm. Yes, I know, very random. But I figured it would be funny if I walked up to everyone with a little plastic baby arm and said, "Hey guys, I think the vending machine is broken." But yeah, that's about all I remember about my 21st. Anyway, let's move on to the next post. It is called, "My Mother and Her Demands for My Unborn Daughter." A bit of backstory. This happened almost 2 years ago. I was 4 months pregnant when this happened, and we had just found out the gender of the baby. We told our parents the week before. Now, my mother has always been controlling and an all-around nightmare, but this time she really blew everything out of proportion. On to the story. My mother calls me one day, which is not abnormal, and we talk about my second sister. I have two and I'm the eldest, who had gotten a new boyfriend a month ago and just told everyone that she was engaged. She announced it also a week ago, around the same time I told everyone about my baby's gender. I thought she was going a bit fast, but whatever, it's none of my business. So my mother tells me that she is back to organizing my sister's wedding and making my daughter's dress. My sis was with another guy for 4 years, and they were also engaged and were preparing the wedding, but he cheated on her and left her. And then the conversation went like this. "So since you have a daughter, I will have to make her a dress as well for the wedding." Sure. We have a bit of time before that, don't you think? When is sis planning on getting married anyway? Did they set a date? "Not really, but they think of doing it in 2 years' time." "Oh, okay." "So your daughter should be walking by then, I think, so she will be able to carry your sis's veil with the other children." "Well, we'll see." "What do you mean, we'll see?" "Well, she isn't even born yet, so it's maybe better to not plan things so far ahead." "No, it will be fine, and we will do it as I said." "Mom, we'll see, that's all I can say, so let's change topic, please." "I have to hang up anyway." And she hangs up in my face. I was a bit shocked, but I thought that she would sulk as usual and that it would be over after 2 weeks of cold shoulder from her. The next day, I get a call from my youngest sister, who was living with my parents at the time. She was 16. She warned me that my mother blew the F up and actually cried, and said that I had completely screwed the image that she had of my daughter, and that she didn't feel like my daughter's grandma anymore. So I decided to call her to clear things out because I didn't understand her reaction. Sure enough, she was cold shouldering me, but I'm used to that, so I asked her what the matter was. "How could you tell me we'll see when I told you about your daughter carrying the veil? That was not okay. It was really disrespectful for me and to your sister as well." "Mom, I just told you that we shouldn't plan anything before she is at least born. I'm only 4 months pregnant. Just calm yourself." "I can't be calm. How can you deny me the chance to imagine my granddaughter?" "What? Also, I haven't talked about it with my boyfriend, and maybe he doesn't want our daughter to do that, and maybe my daughter won't want to do it too. I'm not gonna force her just for your benefit." "You better do it, because I will tell everyone you ruined your sister's wedding. And it's tradition, so you have no choice really, and your boyfriend doesn't have say since it's our family." "He is her father. And I told you maybe. What more do you want from me?" "I told all my friends at work, and they all told me that it was cute, so you should just have told me that your daughter carrying the veil was cute, and then shut the F up." Every time she is arguing with someone, she tells everybody she meets to be seen as the victim. Well, I'm telling you now that it's a no. I hang up. For once I stood up because it was for my daughter, and I cold-shouldered her for a month. Of course she told everybody that I was such an ungrateful brat, but I didn't care, and she came back to me after a while and acted like nothing had happened. I let her, because I didn't want to deprive my daughter of her grandmother, but sometimes I ask myself if I should have stayed away. Alright, relax, lady. The baby's not even born yet. Your daughter is only 4 months pregnant, and that baby is in fact not your daughter. She's your granddaughter, so you don't have control over what happens with that baby. I know for a fact if I ever have kids, me and my would-be wife would be very sparing with the influence over our child. Well, for one, I wouldn't want him or her to be forced into organized religion, but when they get old enough and they start to get curious about God, or Jesus, or Buddha, or anything like that, then okay, I'll provide for them the means to be able to explore that. But anywho, that's enough talk about that, so let's go into the next post. Alright, now this is the one I was talking about, that I'm not quite sure if it's an entitled parent story or not, but it's a doozy, and it's pretty long, so buckle up. My dad punched a psycho EP in the face. Note: this is a long story, so please bear with me. Some of the dialogue was in Spanish, but I have translated it to English for clarity. Background: I'm a female and Latina Scottish, but I look Anglo. I lived, and still live in, the San Francisco Bay Area, and at the time I spoke and understood Spanish. Setting: the year, 1982. I was 12 and I went to public middle school that was primarily black, Hispanic, and Asian, with a sprinkling of other groups. This event took place before cell phones, the internet, school lockdowns, and zero tolerance. At this time, I was friends with this boy in my school. He was this skinny little nerdy kid. He was quiet, funny, nice, and caring, but very, very introverted. I later found out why. Our art teacher assigned us as partners for a class project, worth about 1/3 of our grade. Because it was a rather complicated project, we were expected to stay after school 3 times a week for an hour to work on the project. It was about 10 minutes before the hour was up. Me and this poor kid were sitting at our table, along with most of the other kids, just working on our project, when the classroom door banged open, and this short, heavy-set Latina woman in her 40s, with what we call crazy eyes, comes charging in. This turned out to be my friend's mom. Psycho mom. She looks frantically around the room, spots the poor kid, rushes over, grabs him by his shirt collar, yanks him off his chair, then pushes me off my chair and onto my butt and screams,
"Whore, you're not going to ruin my boy with your slutty ways."
Everybody in the room froze. The teacher in charge had just stepped out of the room a few minutes before, so there was just a bunch of scared 12-year-olds. I had no idea what Psycho Mom was talking about. I just sat there in shock, staring up at this crazy woman, as the poor kid was trying desperately to pull her away from me and kept telling her over and over we were just study partners. He said this to her in Spanish. She shoved him off and screamed, again in Spanish,
"Shut the F up. I'm gonna teach this little whore a lesson."
I saw her leg go back and knew she was going to kick me when I heard the most wonderful thing I'd ever heard in my life. "Hey, get the F away from my daughter." It was my dad, who'd come to pick me up. He stormed over and quickly put himself between the psycho mom and me, making her back off a little bit. She seemed startled by my dad's appearance. My dad has very dark skin, eyes so dark brown, they look black and extremely black, curly hair down past his shoulders. I have red hair, green eyes, and much lighter skin tone than my dad. Dad asked me if I was okay. I just nodded, relieved my dad was there to keep this crazy lady off me. Meantime, Psycho Mom got over her initial surprise and was screaming, in English this time,
"Your kid's a freaking whore. She's keeping my boy here to steal his virginity."
My dad looked at her like she'd just sprouted a second head, and I saw his eyes narrow to dangerous slits and his nostrils flare. Uh-oh. Here's some things you need to know about my dad. He's Nicaraguan, and at first glance, doesn't look particularly scary at 5'7", wears glasses, and at the time only weighed about 150 pounds. But it was all muscle from working on cars, doing/teaching Tai Chi, and did Chinese swordplay. My dad was also young, just 15 when I was born and his only child, making him 27 at the time this happened. He's usually a very friendly, calm, patient, and level-headed man, the kind of person who'd help a complete stranger change a tire or help an old woman with her groceries. He is a nice person. Unless he threatened his daughter. Then Dad, as most Latino fathers tend to do, went from nice person to fiercely protective Latin father, and heaven help the fool who laid hands on his little girl. She was still screeching like a madwoman about how much of a whore I was, when Dad got right in her face and snarled, "Call her a whore one more time, and you'll be choking to death on your own teeth, you crazy effing biatch." The expression on Dad's face and the look in his eyes as he squared off with the psycho mom was one of pure rage. That look would have stopped an attack dog. Hell, it scared me, and it wasn't even directed at me. The whole time this was happening, my poor friend looked like he wanted the earth to open up and swallow him. I felt so bad for him. A sane person, having that look directed at them, would have backed off, apologized, or just grabbed their kid and ran. A sane person. Instead of doing anything having to do with either logic or self-preservation, she tried to shove my dad out of the way to get to me. There was no trace of sanity in her eyes as this lady flung her leg out in an attempt to kick me as she tried to push my dad. I think she'd have tried to strangle me if she got the chance. Dad never gave her a chance. He pushed her back, hard, and sent her crashing into a wall. She hit the wall, bouncing off with an audible oof. She wobbled for a moment, then did the most suicidally stupidest thing I've ever seen anyone do. She attacked my dad. Though not taller, she was much bigger than my dad and knew how to throw a punch. However, my dad, who'd been a scrapper all his life, plus did martial arts, blocked her, then socked her right in the jaw. This sent her staggering, but she didn't go down. Dad later told me that he'd pulled the punch, not because she was a female, but because he'd feared he might break her full neck. But even this didn't stop her. She ran at my dad. I think she was going for me again, but I'm not sure. My dad, having more than enough of her and her crazy, punched her square in the face, and this time he didn't hold back. She dropped like a sack of potatoes, out cold, her nose looking like a stepped-on tomato. That poor kid never attempted to help his mom or even went near her when my dad dropped her. Instead, he came over and helped me up. He stood by me and Dad and told the cops everything. He later testified against her. By now, the principal and 2 teachers came running in. Some classmates ran for help, but I was too focused on her and my dad to notice. But it was all over. The whole thing took only minutes, but felt like forever to me. The cops were called and the psycho mom ended up cuffed in a squad car. She tried to play the victim card. Dad had broke her nose, 1 cheekbone, and broke 3 of her teeth, claiming she was only protecting her boy. She failed, miserably, because A, she attacked a 12-year-old girl she didn't even know, B, several witnesses, my classmates, saw her do it, confirming my dad was acting in defense of both himself and of me when he knocked her lights out. It helped that she was bigger than my dad. And C, she had a lengthy police record for property damage, resisting arrest, and assault, mostly on young females, go figure, and always claiming she was protecting her boy. I found out I wasn't the first girl she'd attacked in order to protect her boy. It didn't help her case that she kept referring to little whores like her and pointing at me while they were questioning her. We pressed charges and she went to jail. She pled no contest and got 9 months. 9 lousy months for attacking me and my dad in a classroom full of kids. Yay, 1982. That poor kid went to live with his paternal aunt and uncle. I found out later the psycho mom had been beating my friend and had gotten the father out of the picture by claiming he'd been abusing him. Not true, but in the 80s they always believed the mom. Luckily, by the time she got out, he was gone. His aunt and uncle, after getting full custody, sold their home, packed up and moved out of state. He never saw her again. I heard from him many years later. He told me that psycho mom got committed to a mental hospital 6 months after she got out of jail. She went to the social service office and trashed the place when they wouldn't tell her where her son was. And as far as I know, she's still there, if she's still alive. That poor kid had to get years of therapy to deal with what his mom had done to him, but he did manage to reconnect with his father. He tried to apologize to me for what happened. I told him it wasn't his fault, and he asked me to thank my dad for punching his mom out. Yeah, I don't think that was an entitled parent story, but damn, that was crazy. I do not feel bad for that lady getting punched one bit. She deserved it. I mean, growing up with an abusive mom like that has got to do a number on you. But yeah, honestly, that just makes me think that some people are not fit to have kids. And yes, there are some people that should definitely not ever have kids. Whether you're ready for one or not, kids are a lot of work, and I'm sure you'll be thrown plenty of curveballs. And I tell you what, being abusive is not the way to raise a child. Anyway, I was going to do one more post, but this video is already almost 20 minutes long, so I'm going to cut it here. So I hope everyone has recovered properly from the plunge into entitled parents, and I certainly hope you enjoyed this episode. It was a labor of love, and there will be more. So thank you all so much for watching and spending some time with me. Keep it magical, and as always, don't forget your tea before you go.